me, but there we are. It's Saturday morning. Um, my welcome to Getting Back to Zero, everyone. My name is Jeff, and I'm talking to you from under the porch in an old coal room down in our basement, which is turned into the man cave, the place to be for a man cave, which is a lot of fun. So we are starting the Labor Day weekend off, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're doing the final moving of my daughter into her house. So yeah, it'll never end. Who am I kidding? But we're going to be doing a lot of the big stuff today. But we have some professional assistance for some of the things that I might have been willing to try years ago that now I look at and say, okay, that's just not going to end well if Dad tries to carry that one up and down the stairs these days. So that's going to be a fun one. We have a big weekend of. I'm actually doing a class today on preparedness for sobriety, which is basically going to be about putting ourselves in the right position physically and mentally to win the battles when the challenges or the cravings or those moments or the temptations hit us, getting ourselves in a position where we have a much better chance when those things come around. But a lot of it also going to be this weekend. We have in Cincinnati here, they have a huge fireworks display tomorrow on the river, which we'll go down to, which is just a big drinking fest. And we're going to go down. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to take some people down and we'll head out on the boat if I can get the thing to run right. But there'll be lots of alcohol, but the people I'm going to have with me, one, I'm going to have accountability with me. They know what's going on. So I've got that going. I'm also going to pack a ton of, I don't know if any of you'd ever know, but I've once or twice had a Diet Pepsi. And so I'll have a case of those or a bunch of those on ice with some other stuff, maybe some seltzer. So I'll have plenty of tools in place for it. And I know I'll get fine. I'll get through it fine. I've got the support team with me and the people I need, the accountability. I'm telling people like you what I'm doing ahead of time. That was another key for me is when I could easily let myself down or break to myself. But when I told other people what I was going to do and they were going to check on me to see how I did, it's a lot tougher to lie. I could drop the ball on myself and not get in a lot of trouble. But when other people found out, then there was some repercussions for it. And that was what I was looking for. And I still am looking for. And that's why the accountability is so big. Plus just the support staff. So anyways, enough about that. It is going to be a fantastic weekend. I'm so glad everyone's joining us. I see a bunch of people on already. We have a fun guest from up north. And she'll probably say her favorite letter, which is a lot. I think she spells it EH though up in Canada, but she'll probably say that quite a bit. But Kathy, welcome to Back to Zero. How you doing?
Hi, Jeff. Wonderful. How are you? I'm so happy to be here today. This is exciting.
Are there elk, moose, and grizzlies outside your window as we speak?
I've seen a couple go by, actually. Yeah. And so I came in from my igloo and I'm having some poutine for breakfast. And
now, wait. We've had my wife loves poutine. Isn't that like potatoes and all sorts of stuff?
Fries and gravy. And
fries and gravy. That's
it's a Canadian delicacy. Absolutely. We love it.
I had never heard of it. There's
low in calories.
Based down the street called Tila that serves poutine.
Yeah, it's spreading across the globe. That's awesome. Anyway, it's been like very, very hot here. I'm in southern Ontario, so close to Toronto, or as we say, Toronto. And it's, we have a beautiful summer here. We have nasty winters, but I think that's common across.
You're saying Toronto wrong, by the way, but that's okay. I'll correct you on those kind of things later. Well,
welcome. It is like another language.
Oh, I know. Well, we have Ketsia, who's one of our regulars, who I just love. She can't say about. She says a boat.
A boat.
And I always just give her so much grief about that because it's she butchers the. She's great on some, but on other ones she falls apart. But I just love it. So
it comes out. Yeah, we can't help it.
I say we talk about the boat, but we don't ride. I don't know. She says the boat all the time. Yeah. Well, so Kathy, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
What is? Go ahead and let's just start with your story. I always like to ask people, how did you end up on a show about sobriety?
Wow, it's a sordid tale, let me tell you, but a happy ending for sure. I was a heavy drinker for a long time. I started when I was 14. Me and a bunch of other young thugs used to hang around in the neighborhood park, and somebody would get a hold of a bottle, and we would drink in the park. And so it started young, all through high school, college, slowed down a bit once I got married. And, I think I was a normal drinker at that time. And just as it tends to do, because it's progressive, bit by bit, I was drinking more, people were commenting on it, and I just didn't think it was a problem. I loved wine. We would go to wineries. We would, I had the fancy glasses, and I liked to try different wines. And I thought myself quite the wine connoisseur. But all that, all to realize down the road that it was just another form of getting a buzz, right? And I always wonder if there was no alcohol in wine, would we have all these wine tasting events? No, absolutely not. Like if you're a normal drinker and you like the taste and all of that, it's quite an interesting and complex thing to study or what have you. I had books. I did the whole thing, right? We would have wine and cheese nights where we'd pair wines with cheese, and all of my friends were like me, right? However, they could stop and I couldn't. I had no off switch, right? And God love my husband. He doesn't really drink to speak of. And, most nights would end up with him driving me home with me, like unconscious in the passenger seat and, falling when I got out of the truck and what have you. Like, it was out of control. And he was getting more and more sort of fed up. How long ago was that starting to happen, Kathy? 20 years ago, probably. Yeah, maybe more. Sometimes we'd have our kids along and we'd have to stop so that mom could throw up outside the car. It was. But then did you go with spurts of not sobriety, but of dryness where, this is just isolated incidents? No, it never stopped. It really never stopped. I mean, I could probably go 20 years ago, I could go sort of Monday to Friday with nothing or, very little. But as soon as the weekend came, and then the weekend became Thursday to Sunday, and we'd have family gatherings, and I'd be drunk before everybody got here. And over time, it wasn't pleasant anymore. Like I could sense my daughter, like I have two daughters who are married, and my one son-in-law in particular, he just didn't want that around his kids. That both of my daughters have two kids, and he was really getting fed up with me. My daughter as well, she started making comments. She's a nurse, and one time she went in my garage, and here's this pyramid of empties, and she's like, "Mom, this is a problem." And I did not see it. I just haven't gotten to the return store yet. I was so blind to the reality of what I was doing. Right. And in Canada, liquor and beer and wine are very expensive. They're highly taxed. And like a good bottle of wine is like $30. So I drank $12 wines or $20 double bottles of wine. I'm thinking I was getting a deal. Right. And it was just more fuel for the fire, right? So yeah, like it was getting really out of hand. I I always worked. I was a professional. I worked in a hospital for 10 years. Things weren't too bad then. And then I went into insurance and, managed to do quite well there. Went to Tokyo for work, learned some Japanese, and, things were going along quite well that way. And then I left insurance, and well, not by choice. I had 2 different jobs in insurance that I was fired from because of I couldn't function. I couldn't focus. I couldn't, I just was not doing well at all. Like that functioning alcoholic thing is just not,
not directly alcohol, but because of alcohol.
Right. The hangovers, the health concerns, I had really high blood pressure. I had acid reflux. I had high blood sugar. I had a chronic cough. I shook all the time. I had those cold shakes. Like, the allergy was like really starting to affect me in a, physically and mentally. Yeah. And I just, I didn't care. I just wanted to get home and have my wine and, forget the day, really was what it.
What's crazy is on paper, you just listed a bunch of things, the shakes, the sweats, the day, the unable to, we can a huge list of the negatives we get from alcohol, but now put on the other side of the paper what we get from alcohol. And the list is short, a lot shorter. It's buzz, relief, but just those on paper, it doesn't even, it's a no-brainer. This greatly outweighs the good, but that's just how damn powerful this thing is.
Cunning, baffling, and powerful. Boy, when I heard those words, I thought, bingo, that's my trouble, right? This thing has got me in its web. And, I was okay with that. That's the real insanity.
Yeah, I was, my wife and I went out last night. We were driving and we were talking about this. And I said, and you hear this so much in recovery, but knowing all the crap that's going to happen. And yet I'm still just pulled to that beer.
Yeah.
And then once I start, I told her last night, I've never not said just one more would be great. I've never not wanted just one more.
Right.
Until I passed out.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be passing out, but if I could have my way as I was making it to my bed, I would have a beer with me. And then I'd wake up, there'd be a warm beer next to the bed, only because I passed out before I could finish. It's just crazy how but I've never been a drug addict like heroin or some of those. And you hear people talking about the cravings. I know, I did chewing tobacco because I was cool for years. And I know, I understand that the cravings there, but I didn't get, risk DUIs, killing someone. I didn't there were so many negatives that only come with alcohol, and yet it just owned me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's king, boy. I'll tell you.
I want to know why I can't remember. Maybe you can start off with some answers. I still want to hear your story because you got a triple Lindy to explain to people.
Oh yeah.
Which you almost pulled off. I heard you were tempted to try and repeat that sober.
Yeah.
But
that'll go well.
Why, at the moment when that beer is calling me or that glass of wine, why it's hard to remember all the stuff that right now you and I are talking about, all the negatives.
Right. It's denial. It's just pure, it's like wanting to preserve and protect that thing which you're beholden to, right? Like it's precious, right? You think it is. It's your enemy. It's like the, what do you call it? The Stockholm syndrome, right? You become in love with the thing that's hurting you the most, right? And I never even considered a way out. I didn't. I didn't want to, right? That kept all my stuff up in the air, where I didn't have to deal with it and I could stuff it down and, I could be the fun one at the parties and, you know what I mean? Like it became sort of almost my shtick or my, modus operandi, right? And that's hard to give up. I
want to hear, I want everyone to hear your story about you were almost, and I want to hear this, but you were almost forced to quit with the situation. You got pushed into it, which is huge. But I don't want you to give up. I want to also hear how close were you to making that decision for yourself, or were you weren't?
No, not even remotely. I did go through a period. My daughter, the nurse, she said, "Well, Mom, why don't you try just to drink on the weekends?" Okay, so I tried that. Well, again, by Wednesday, I was jonesing, and I had to have that drink on Wednesday. So I maybe got in Monday and Tuesday, right? But it just did not work. I went to my doctor. He like, I don't know what's going on with you. I didn't tell him I drank, right? He had no idea. And, I was hiding it. I had no way to admit, right? And that's the first step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. So I'm running around trying to get all these other options lined up because my job was my third job I got fired from was really on the line. They asked me to leave, and I thought, well, maybe I can go on, disability, right, or something. Get out, just take a break, not to stop drinking, but just to get my health in order. And I went to the doctor to ask him, and I couldn't even ask him. I think because I would have had to admit that how bad things were, right? So yeah, no, I had no desire to stop at all.
Yeah, it's. I can know that I need to stop. I wanted to not be a drinker, but there's no way in hell I wanted to give it up. And the other thing is like the moderation, for just the weekend. Even if I was able to do that, that just meant when the weekend hit, get the hell out of my way. Because I got some making up to do. And it probably would have been better for the results if I didn't do that and just drank through the week. Because by Friday, it was like, it's go time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. It was, you just count the hours till you can start, right? Because by then you're so wound up and so, in such need and desperation that, yeah. Then
the key for me is figuring out how to alleviate that so that I'm not all wound up like you said.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's get to what
happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, how bad was it before this happened? Were your kids turning your back on you? Was your husband?
Oh, well, my husband was, he just, he had just sort of thrown his hands up in the air and didn't want this for me. We were really growing apart because he didn't drink and I, drank alone all the time. Right. And, I had, that was my companion and we'd sit in different rooms watching TV and I'd get drunk and then he'd go to bed and then I'd stay up and, once I was on my high, I was raring to go. Right. But by myself. Right. And, so he was pretty well at his, limits with me. My daughters, again, were very concerned. My daughter asked me to, when she asked me to moderate, it wasn't too long before, the end of drinking. And then I was working. I organized this trip to Germany with my team, and I went to Paris. And I mean, I can barely remember it. I drank through the whole thing, right? I just drank because it was, it was free, and it was just a free for all, and that was a disaster, and far too long of a story to tell, but I finally was asked to leave my role. Again, they knew what was going on, but didn't say it in so many words. They said, you've got something going on at home, you're not up to the task. And anyway, it was a big, it was sort of like the final straw for me, self-esteem wise, nobody wants me. I'm getting older now. By this time I'm 61. I wasn't ready to retire, but I was, it was, just things were all crumbling around me. Right. And my self-esteem just took such a hit. I was so hurt that all those old tapes came back. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not, smart enough. Just that being shoved away. Get away from us. We don't want you here. Right? Deadly. But then I also got my back up and said, well, screw you. I'm leaving, and too bad for you. They wanted me to train my replacement and everything. I'm like, that's not going to happen. So anyway, yeah, that's the situation I was in. And once I left, I said, well, I'm going to retire and just, my daughter was having a baby and I was going to help her and everything was going to be okay. So, shall I proceed with what happened?
Yeah, let's hear that.
All right, here goes. So I left my role on January 17th of, or somewhere around there, of 2020. 2020 was going to end up being quite the year. So with my, my hurt feelings and my, my resentment for being pushed out and whatnot, I stayed home for a week and it was party central. I just drank away all my troubles. And it happened on that next Saturday night. My husband was going to a yearly event that he goes to. He rarely goes out. And anyway, so that was going to be, party for one for Kathy that night, let me tell you. And I had it all planned out. I mean, I was a planner around my drinking. I'll tell you, you want to talk crazy? I had a spreadsheet one time of when I was going to drink over the Christmas holidays and what I was going to drink. Okay. Out of control.
If you still had that would be magical.
Oh, wouldn't it be a riot? Yeah.
That would be just, what a great reminder.
I can't believe I'm sitting at work writing a spreadsheet of how I'm going to finagle all these different bottles to get so that I had something for every night of the holidays. I mean, talk about just off the charts, Anyway, party for one for Kathy. So I drove my husband to the event and had my bottles all lined up. And I live in a 4-level side split. This will take more meaning later on. But anyway, I always bring my purse up to the 2nd level. And for some reason that night, I left my purse in the front hall. So, okay. So I sit down and away we go. I drank a bottle. I opened another bottle. And this is before 9:30. Okay. And I'd started at 8. So that's how fast I drank. And I was watching TV, watching a movie, and in our front hall, there's a fire alarm, and it started to beep because the battery must have been dying. So in my, wisdom, I had a small kind of vinyl ottoman, I guess you would call it, little box thing that I thought, I'll just get up on that rather than go get the footstool. I'll just get up on that and bring down the fire alarm and stop it. And as I was getting up on it, I thought, I shouldn't be doing this. I had that, what are you doing? This is dumb, but okay, let's go. Like I had no regard for my safety whatsoever. So I remember grabbing I should mention that this was at the top of a flight of stairs going down to the basement. And our hall has a, what's called travertine, like a stone floor. Anyway, I remember bringing down the fire alarm, and the next thing you know, I was on my left side. And I don't remember falling. I don't remember hitting. I just remember being there. And the pain in my leg, I can't even, it was so excruciating. I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? So I thought, well, I think I'm okay. I'll be able to, it's just going to be sore, but I'll get up and I'll finish my wine. That's how nuts I was.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, there was no getting up. I was every move was just, like a knife going in my side. So fine. I thought, well, I can't get up. I'm locked in my house. I guess I better call for help. So I managed to kind of army crawl, I couldn't sit up or get up. I kind of crawled on my stomach, maybe about 10 feet, got my purse, which shouldn't have been there. And I called 911. And they said, okay, we'll come. I said, but I'm locked in my house. And they said, oh, no worries. The police will come and knock your door down. And I didn't want that. So I realized my daughter had just gotten off her shift in the emergency room. She's an emergency room nurse. I'll call her and she can come and unlock the door. She has a key. So I called her. She happened to arrive at the same time as the paramedics. And of course, they all know each other. And I just found this out. She said to them, you're going to, this is my mother's house. She's probably HBD, which has been drinking, right? And I asked her, how did you know that? She says, Mom, you were always drunk. So that was, she was right. So in they come, they get me on the stretcher and they take me to the hospital. Again, I am screaming in pain. Okay. The pain, I can't even describe it. Indescribable. And I get to the hospital and with my daughter, who's just left her shift. So it was I was so humiliated. I can't even tell you. And then I realized, oh my God, my foot, what is going on with my foot? It hurts so badly. So, okay, they look at that. I get an x-ray of my hip and my foot. I thought I broke my hip. Anyway, my daughter comes into the x-ray area and she's behind the wall and she screams at me, Mother, you broke your foot and you broke your hip. And I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? So she calls my husband, who comes home from his event or comes to the hospital from his event. And he just took one look at me and shook his head. And he said, Kathy, I knew this was going to happen. All right. So, we were at the turning point. So they admit me and
it's always never enough that you're in pain. Then you get the guilt of that look of disappointment.
Yeah.
That makes things even worse.
I was so disappointed for them, with myself. What have I done? How did it come to this? This is a nightmare, right? The baby's coming. I can't help. I knew it was going to be a long and winding road, as it turned out to be. Anyway, I was admitted, and then I was so intoxicated. This happened on a Saturday night. I didn't have surgery till Sunday night. So you can imagine laying there turns out I had a broken femur and I had to have surgery. They put a steel rod, they call it a rod and nail. That's how they fix femurs. Otherwise you're stuck in bed for 3 months. So I said, no, let's do the surgery. But I had to sober up enough for them to do the surgery. And they may have done it a bit too soon, because when I came out, when I was in the recovery room, I couldn't breathe. I just could not breathe. I thought I was going to die for sure. And also with the thought that, I fell to the left, fortunately, if I'd have fallen to the right, I would have gone down the flight of stairs. I'd probably be dead. So I did have that feeling like, oh my gosh, I have been saved from something far worse, such as being paralyzed or,
right.
like that. And, so there I am in the hospital. I've got this boot on my foot, on my broken foot, and I have this rod in my leg. And I mean, I don't know. They always say Canadian healthcare is so great, but it really, I was one of so many patients. I really got very little help in the hospital. I had to, somehow maneuver this broken leg and its boot. It was an absolute nightmare. And the more I needed help, the less they could, for some reason, the less they were willing to give me. And I think it was partly because, well, lady, you did this to yourself. Too bad, right? That I felt that disapproval. And my daughter came to my bed and she said, Mother, if you drink again, I'm going to break your other leg. She literally was just at her point. And I would say too that, my daughters were already at the point where they didn't want their girls with me in case I drove drunk, and I don't blame them. Right. I was not fit to, to be in charge of children. And
did that.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing.
Yeah. It's horrible. Anyway, so then I can't come home because I can't walk. And I'm in this 4-level side split that's nothing but stairs. And so fortunately, I was able to get into a physical rehabilitation center where, I got back on my feet with a walker and again, in constant pain. I was taking the medication I had to, and my daughter recommended that I, wean off of it. So, I come home, I'm in my bedroom recuperating. I can't, somebody has to come and feed me. Like it was just the worst. And while I was in the hospital, I got sick, of course, and they tested me. This was just when COVID was starting, right? So then I had to go into isolation in case I had this mystery illness that was going around. And then, I was supposed to be getting physiotherapy at home to help me get mobilized. And then they couldn't come in my house because of COVID. And, things were crashing, I'll tell you. But,
did they have to treat you for DTs or any of that? Did you have any?
No, well, not specifically. They did have me hooked up to like intravenous vitamin D. For some reason, they thought that was a proper, so, to try to, get me healthy again so that I could heal. Gave me lots of protein, lots of calcium and all of that, trying to build me back up. Right. But no, I didn't have DTs, but I probably would have had I not had all that narcotic. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of sobered up through that. And I found that bit by bit, I did start to feel better, but I wanted to drink again. Right. I thought, how can I go through life without drinking? Like, this is crazy. But I also knew I didn't have a choice. And then my husband had heard about this drug that you can take and just have one glass of wine and you're fine. I don't even know.
Do you remember what that is? Was it naltrexone?
I think it's naltrexone. Yeah.
Because that's a different, as far as what people say it does, because it was, it was never, it was designed to keep you from drinking.
Right. In fact, whether people have a drink or two on it. And I did actually end up going on it, but for cravings, not so I could drink, right?
Yeah.
Because when I went to the doctor and asked about it, once I could get out of the house, he said, why didn't you tell me about this? Why didn't you tell me you were drinking? I said I was too embarrassed. And he said, well, you're going to AA and you're going to get some tools in your toolkit and you're going to get sober. And he said, I'll give you naltrexone for the cravings. Now, it did not agree with me. I had, I was punching my husband at night and it made me very crazy. So I went back off of it. But by then the cravings had, started to lessen. Now again, COVID, no in-person AA meetings. So I get on the computer and I start calling into Zoom meetings of AA, and I'm thinking, I don't know, this is kind of weird. I didn't feel like I belonged there, and we've talked about this, how the alcoholic is, under the bridge with a paper bag, right? I just didn't know I was alcoholic until I started reading the book and so on. Well, yeah, I'm a classic alcoholic. I'm a binge drinker, and, there's a solution. So I did find a group. And it happened to be
everyone, Kathy, that word is that the word alcoholic has kept so many people from getting help.
Yeah.
Because it's such a negative.
I know.
And it doesn't change. I don't care. We can argue all day of what to call me. None of that changes the fact that what happens to me when I drink. Right. So, you can call me a Martian. I don't care. It doesn't matter. So, but that word alone is that's a personal thing. But some people, have lost out on treatment opportunities because of that word is a killer. That's the end of that's the end of my life to have to say that word.
Oh, so absolutely. It's so again, the humiliation, you're an alcoholic. Yeah. It's, and I think there is some amount of, intention to change that. Like some people at AA even say I'm powerless over alcohol, or I have an alcohol problem, or, whatever. I think they're trying to change it to alcohol use disorder or something like that. But I mean, call it what you will. Like you say, a Martian, we're still, we're all basically the same, right? And
addict is one. Randall just said. Some people say it's like not I am an I am an alcoholic as a noun, but more a description. I'm alcoholic. You know, like
Right.
I'm not a diabetic. I'm diabetic. You know,
Right.
meaning I have a condition. I'm alcoholic. But still, I don't. Whatever word eases people in. You know, make a joke of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a bottomless pit. I don't
Right.
care what you call it,
Yeah.
whatever, just as
Yeah.
long as you realize in here what it's doing. You know, Nancy's putting I'm alcohol free.
Yeah.
And that's
Great.
that's
I
so
love that.
great because you know, I don't drink. Well, I can't. Why? Oh, I'm alcohol free. Oh, okay. I'm gluten free. I don't eat gluten.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I
It's
like
no
that.
different. It's no different. It's just another substance that, you know, I say to people, well, if I had a bee sting allergy, you know, I'd make sure I carried a needle or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's no different than that. Or if I was allergic to, I don't know, eggs, I wouldn't eat eggs. Like, it's that, you know, it really is that cut and dried, right? The minute I put that alcohol in my body, you know, off to the races, right? And I've had friends say, "You're never drinking again?" Oh, like, that's weird, you know. And I think, you know, until you know, you don't know, right? And I had this really got to me. I had such a resentment over this because I see that, as it turned out, the pandemic was kind of a blessing for me because I couldn't go out. I was in this health recovery situation and so on. Couldn't see my friends, yada yada. But I had a friend say on a Zoom call, "How can we get through the pandemic without drinking?" Well, easy. You know what I mean? That narrative to me just felt so wrong, and that was such a moment of clarity for me. You know, I got through the pandemic just fine, 99 times better than people that were drinking through it. Because what would that have changed, right? We would have just felt crappier.
Well,
so
the real quick, I wanted you to keep going, but that question she asked, it's, you know, how do we get without drinking? The problem isn't drinking. It's the problem is what's making us or that person feel like I have to drink.
Right.
The problem, the drinking is to fix a problem. The
Exactly.
drinking, so it's like, well, I can drink, but that does not change the problem. As soon as the alcohol's gone out of my system, that problem is back.
The problem's
So the
still
only
there.
way I'm going to fix my issues with drinking every day is to figure out why I drink and to try and fix those problems.
Exactly.
Now there is I just love how it makes me feel. Great. I understand that. I love how a gallon of ice cream makes me feel. I can't eat it all. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not. So there's a bunch of layers is my point. But
yeah,
taking
100%.
alcohol out of the system, and that's one thing I wanted to get with you because you were you with a broken leg could not get to the booze.
Nope.
But
it was there,
but when did that didn't address the problems that helped, but the problems of why you had to drink were still there, correct?
Absolutely.
And how did you learn I always like to ask, why did you drink? What were the reasons you felt? Why was life not good enough on its own that you had to drink?
Yeah. Well, when I first called AA, the lady I spoke to, and I'm now the chair of that answering service. So, you know, funny how things go. And I'm so happy that's my service every day. But when I called her, she said, "Well, we all had a reason for drinking, and it wasn't because we were thirsty." And that really, you know, set me on this path to find out why I drank. So I, you know, started meetings on Zoom, and my fellows in the group, and they are fellows. I go to a group that's mostly men, mostly professional men. And they said, "You don't have to fight anymore, and it's going to get better." And boy, like, that felt good to hear. And they brought me books, and I'm going, what is going on here? But I also realized a little ways into the program, okay, I'm not drinking, but I'm still feeling restless, irritable, and discontent, you know, my situation, the pandemic, and so on. But I knew I had a lot of, I'd had a lot of loss in my life. I'd had a lot of trauma in my life. I grew up extremely poor one of 7 kids, the 5th of 7 kids. My father was a World War II veteran, stand-up guy, 100%, but he had a temper and he would always take out his frustration. And one time he even said to my mother in a fight, we should have never had those last 3, which was myself and my 2 brothers, right? And so I grew up just feeling so hurt, so unwanted. My mother was not well. I had to be the mother. I remember like at 5 doing laundry with a wringer washer and making meals and cleaning up. Our house was always such a disaster. I didn't want anybody seeing how we lived. I never had new clothes. I wanted, I felt like I never had anything I wanted. I'd want and want and want. But sorry, Kathy, there's no money this year for skating. Sorry, Kathy, there's, you can't get that dance lesson or what have you. I mean, we had little things we went to at church and stuff, but, and we had each other and we had music and we had, nice thing, like nice, for the most part, some nice times. But I always felt lesser than. I always felt like the dirty, ugly, nobody wants to play with me sort of kid, right? And I think we talked about this, that I became the class clown. I became the funny one, right? Trying to hide my all of my hurt and everything behind this mask of being funny, right? And trying to be accepted. And so yeah, then, I met and married a wonderful man who adores me. I had 2 beautiful children, but not before I lost a twin pregnancy. I had other miscarriages. Like it was just loss after loss. And then my parents died within 11 months. And then my absolute, pearl of a brother, my oldest brother, he passed away from cancer. And we all have loss, right?
But Kathy, so how do you just listed off 8 reasons, 8 great, fantastic reasons to drink.
Yeah.
To cope, because the coping, you just said a ton of pain. And what's anyone that's on this show that's going to be watching this, what's our go-to for pain?
Yeah.
Is alcohol. That's how, so we're not fixing it. So you're smiling right now.
Yeah.
At least, I'm seeing a lot of smiles. Yeah. How did none of that was repaired by taking alcohol away? How do you deal with those? Because they're going to keep haunting you otherwise.
Exactly. And they did like my past just, it was never out of my mind, right? The things that happened, there was sexual abuse. There was, I didn't, like, I was a good person. I didn't steal. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I kept thinking, why is this happening to me? Why did these terrible things keep happening? But I was, I wasn't in any state of mind to kind of, cope or deal with these things, right? They just kept coming up, and I, maybe go on to antidepressants or what have you, right? I had just crippling depression. And so anyway, I found an addictions counselor after I'd been in AA for a while, and just on my own, I thought I need to, there's more here that we need to deal with. And I talked to her and, I told her my story, and she said, Kathy, that is 98% of the reason you drank. And it never even occurred, I didn't even know that. Right. Mm-hmm. And the relief that I felt, and I cried buckets. I mean, I would get on the phone with her, because again, Zoom, and just, it was like all this pain was just, finally being expelled, right? That's what it felt like a catharsis, right? And I told my husband, we've been married for 42 years. I told him things that I've never told him, right? So he was my confidant and my counselor, and I still talk to her, and things are, she sees a change in me. I feel the change. I was on a call one time with a speaker, and she said, I don't forget my pain. I don't, my trauma is there, but it walks beside me. It does not run me anymore. Right. And it's true. Like
how do you do that though? Because that's something I'm really working on with some other stuff. I'm doing that class with, and there's still time. Here's a little plug in it, but it's free. We're doing this trauma workshop. It's an 8-week class. And it'll start officially Tuesday evening at, 8:30 Eastern time. It's an eight-week class on trauma. This guy, Michael McNamara, started this, ex-military guy, and he's greatly reduced suicides in the military. But it's about dealing with trauma and learning, and what you just said, putting it next to you, not so, and that's the key. And how did you do that? I'm going to ask you, Kathy, how do you separate that?
Well, all of a sudden, like as you start feeling better and more clear-headed, you realize, okay, those things happened. They hurt me and they almost destroyed me, but they don't have to be at the forefront anymore. And once you stop squashing it down or stuffing it with the alcohol, it comes out of you just like like out of a pitcher. Like it, you know what I mean? It comes out and then it's kind of gone. It's not gone, 100%, but it doesn't run you anymore, right? You can accept it. And as my counselor says, let it be. It is, it's there. It happened. You talk about military, like my oldest brother went to Vietnam. He was a Canadian Marine, like a Canadian U.S. Marine. When I was like 10 years old, I had a brother in Vietnam, and they were saying so many Americans died today every night on the TV. Like that was hugely traumatic for me, right? And it should have never, he had no business being in the Marines, right? Like, things like that I have to, he had reasons for going. But I had to and then, he ended up dying from, they think he picked up, he got cancer from the Agent Orange. Anyway, long story. But things that I should have never, like I was held up with a gun. I was, things that, I kept thinking, like, why do these things keep happening to me? Why am I constantly tried? But, it's okay. I survived. You know what I mean? I'm a survivor, and I can share my experience, strength, and hope with someone else. And I can live a happy life. My daughters brought me flowers on my first anniversary of sobriety. And it said, Mom, you deserve to be happy. And it's true. You have to love yourself enough to know that I'm not going to abuse myself anymore, because they call it alcohol abuse for a reason. I mean, right? We're abusing our bodies every day when we drink, and we can't do that. It helps nothing. It changes nothing. I think another thing that helped was hearing yesterday, today, and tomorrow in AA, right? There are 2 days I can do nothing about. One is yesterday and one is tomorrow. That helped me so much. And then when I heard those 9-step promises, because all of the things those promises address are exactly the things that keep us, in our well, as I call it, right? In that,
the
well
yesterday, today, and tomorrow thing is my version of that. Well, not, it's not something I say, but I lost a lifetime of today's, because all I did today, right now, all I would be doing is worrying about yesterday and fearing tomorrow, because crap, I got to do this tomorrow, and today I'm focused on what happened yesterday. Damn it, why didn't I? God, I did it again. And hey, Dad, you want to go out? So and so, I can't. I got to figure out how I'm going to do tomorrow. I missed a lifetime of today's because of that, and it just robbed me. And now I can't change yesterday. It happened. I can learn from it. I can try to, improve from it, never change it. And tomorrow that'll happen. But you know what? I got an opportunity today. I want to live today. I want to wake up tomorrow and go, hell yeah, yesterday was a great day. Let's try and duplicate. I want to create good memories for tomorrow.
Exactly.
Instead of what I was doing.
Exactly. Oh yeah. That's the gift, right? That is the gift of sobriety. First we have I call it the gift of desperation. And I tell newcomers that because when I'm on the phone with them, they're saying, what am I going to do? How am I getting out of this? Like, they are just so lost. And I'll say, you have the gift of desperation, because it's only that desperation that will get you out of that cycle of, regret and fear and, and that, like, living for today, my gosh. But like you say, with happy memories of yesterday, right? And last week, and you know what I mean? Like, as they say in my group, that clean side of the street, man, like that is a beautiful place to be, right?
Yeah.
On that, making your amends, stopping. Like I was so reactive, right? And that my counselor said that was my trauma response, right? If anybody challenged me or what have you, like I was getting so, so snappy, and like my kids started calling me Edna, like this alter ego I had that just, exploded, right? And now I've learned to breathe, take a pause, okay, you know what I mean? Like, notch down the reactivity, take the breath. Yeah.
I got that right here on my thing.
Yeah. Take that breath, boy, and think about what you're going to say. I've gotten myself, even in sobriety, I've gotten myself in real trouble, having to have my say, right? That having to be heard. And, I think in a way drinking would allow me to, they say people get nasty when they drink. I got more passive when I drank, right? So these things, I would just think them, but not say them. Now, I have to watch myself. And especially if I'm going to be of help to a newcomer, right? Which is everything.
What was your, how did you said, when you said having it beside me, not with me, I'm suddenly picturing an old motorcycle with a sidecar.
Yeah.
How do I get that out of me and put it beside me? Because I think the answer that you, and what I think works for me is when I finally start spewing it out and talking to someone.
Absolutely. It was there. Like, to me, I envision it like a pit in my stomach, or like this bowl of whatever mess, and that I had to gradually admit it, talk about it, have somebody say how awful. I actually had somebody say, it's a wonder you're not dead. Like the amount of how did I get and live with that, right? And I got nothing compared to some people. Like, I have a lovely home, and I have lots, right? Like I have nothing to really want for or need, and again, that has really lessened. Like I'm content now. But anyway, yeah, you have to get that stuff out of your brain as such. Like it's not gone, but it's dealt with. It's you can finally, like, just say, okay, it affects me today, but it doesn't run me today, right? My trauma ran me, right? And it was pardon my French, it was a shit show, right? Because I was running around looking for something, some way to, to feel good about myself. But inside I felt like the lowest form of life, right? And again, if at all possible, a professional can help you with that. They really can. AA as well, and praying and having a higher power and giving it to God. And like, I think it's a combination of things, right? Of pain and saying it's going to be okay. You can do this, like living your amends. That's huge for me. Living amends, right? Proving that I've got this, and I'm a worthwhile, trustworthy, decent human being, who wants to help others, and that getting out of my own way and out of my own head, huge, right? Like, because you don't have to live there anymore. You don't, right? When you drink, it just, sets off that same pattern of regret, and you feel good for a little while, but that hour of feeling good is followed by a day of feeling like crap, and I embarrassed myself. And I ultimately nearly killed myself with it. So I think, in a way, like, I see it as a blessing. I know God was there with me that night. He put me on that floor. He made sure I could get some help. But I have constant pain. It's been 19 months. I still have pain. And that I have a reminder every day, right, of what this can lead to. You know, it could have been a DUI. It could have been jail. It could have been anything, right? We hear it all the time. But, you know, I was blessed to have a really, really strong, you know, reason and justification to never put alcohol in my body again. You know,
how do I feel worthy of sobriety? Because right now I'm a piece of crap. I drink all the time. My life's a shit show. I'm blah 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 blah. Everything is just a thing. I'm not even worthy of sobriety. I'm that bad. How do I get that self-worth?
Yeah, you know, and I hear that a lot, you know, just on different websites and stuff I'm on, you know, in a way, I think we make ourselves feel worthy or like, you know, that whole deserving of a drink. That's our treat. That's what we go to. That's my friend. Right. So yeah, take that out of the equation. And then, you know, when you come into AA, the whole thing is support from others. You know, this program works. Lots of programs work, right? Rehab works, what have you. Like, just like, don't do it alone. Find a support. It's out there. It's, you know, a lot of it's free. A lot, you know, I'd be perfectly happy. I mean, I spend a fortune on my counselor, right? And that's okay. Like, but if you can't afford it, go to AA, just go somewhere where somebody is willing to help you and listen to you and tell you you are okay. You deserve this. You are a good person. You know, we have a program of recovery that, you know, we're going to help you with, right? In our meetings, we say, you know, with the first chip, this is the only one you have to get on your own. The rest will help you with. And I love that, you know, and we, you know, anybody can walk in that door. You can be, you know, from wherever, living on the street for that matter. Just get in those doors, go into those rooms, and you will find, number one, acceptance. You will find understanding. You will find love. You will find, you know, happiness, like fun. My meetings are so much fun. We just about roll on the floor laughing. Like, you know, it's just, I go to a meeting in our downtown area that has a lot of, you know, old timers, right? And the gems that come out of them, you know, like if you listen to them and you don't feel like, okay, I'm going to be okay, nothing's going to change it, right?
I think for the biggest part of that, you know, whether it's meetings or social groups or, you know, Zoom, it's people that get it.
Yeah.
Because my wife is upstairs, love her to death, but she doesn't get it.
No.
My two best friends, they don't get it.
They don't get it.
I have a much better chance of talking to, I get more out of talking with you, who I literally don't even know.
Yeah.
Spent an hour and a half together total.
Yeah.
And you're much better source for me to fix my problems than my wife and my two best friends.
No question. You know, I say, like, it takes one to know one, right? You find affinity with these people, you know, many of whom have had it much worse, right? Or they're like 25 and they've got to be sober for the rest of their lives. Like, whoa, you know, that would just, I don't know that like people do it all the time, but that I got the admiration I have for these people. And they're also drug addicts, right? And I think that's harder to get off of than alcohol, right? And they've got deep, deep wounds that they're filling. But again, you see them thrive, right? They're happy. They go out together. They have fun, right? And I do get young people on the phone all the time, and they're like, I'm all by myself. If I'm not drinking, I don't have my drinking friends. And they're just lost, right? They're, you know, but they come into the program. Yeah. And they find that community, which changes everything, right? And a lot of times they're like, oh, I want to stay in touch with you, Kathy. Like, you know, I feel a very motherly, feeling for them, because, you know, I just want them to be happy too, right? Like I know how happy they can be, right? And I see my own daughters thriving. They don't drink. They don't, like, miraculously enough, they do not drink, and they are so successful. Like, I'm just like, how did they get through my house with, one daughter said one time, Mother, I never see you without a drink in your hand. Right. Like what was I setting as an example? Right. I'm the only alcoholic in my family. The only one. Go figure. And they always did tell me I was adopted, though, because I was the only redhead. But I used to be a redhead anyway. But yeah, like my parents wanted.
I was when I had hair. I was a redhead too. Now I'm a gray bald.
Oh.
Hey, one thing that you said the word deserving, which I love, because I think it kind of hit me that my whole focus was, I lived my day to feel like I deserved a drink. And now I'm living my day to feel like I deserve sobriety.
So, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I didn't want to deserve sobriety. I wanted the drink. Yeah. But now I want sobriety. I still, my demon inside me, I call it kudzu, which is a weed that you got to nip it in the bud. It overtakes everything. But that's kind of my shit show inside. Yeah. My shit show still wants a drink now and then, but I want what sobriety's given me.
Yeah, exactly.
What the craving what I'm going to get from a buzz. Yeah, an hour of feeling good, but then it's going to turn crap, and then it turns to regret and hate and self-loathing and all that other crap. But I want to feel like I want the rewards that sobriety's given me, and there's a ton.
Oh, there's so many. Oh my God, if like 1,000,000 to 1, like truly, the upside of this is more than you could ever imagine, especially early on. I didn't see it. I just I thought.
No, I would have said, Kathy, go hold hands with someone and go sing Kumbaya in your little room by yourself. You're living such an exciting life. Bullshit. I want to be out partying. But it's tough. I don't think I would have believed it until I lived it.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have convinced me.
No. Oh God, no. Early on when they'd say that, if you want what we have, and I'm like, yeah, I want what you have, but how am I ever going to get it? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like in bit by bit by bit, like the joy goes up, the cravings and the need go down, and then like it's almost like one day it's like, oh, I don't want to drink anymore. Like I really do think for most people it's a almost like a I don't know, moment of realization, like whatever that word is, that you're just like, I'm okay. I'm happier. I feel better. I'm doing better. I can get in my car and drive anywhere I want. Like all of the, like, it just adds up and adds up and adds up. Right. My doctor asked me, Kathy, how's your cough? Right. Like that, it was gone. Right. Yeah. That's chronic. It can cause such harm, right? And when you start feeling, just right in your own skin and good with life as life on life's terms, right? And you have that higher power there watching over you and loving you and no matter what, like you're just not alone anymore, right? And the sponsorship thing, like, here this person is going to help me to help themselves. Like, how beautiful is that? That there is such illumination in this program and it's basically free. So,
I think the keys to success for me are don't drink, which everyone goes, oh, well, that's obvious, but don't drink and talk to someone that doesn't drink. Someone talk to someone that gets it.
That gets it 100%.
And that if I can, don't drink, but that alone doesn't, that might make it for the next minute, but that doesn't fix how I'm going to feel in the next minute after that.
Exactly.
I've got my only chance of that is to be doing what you and I are doing right now, which is talking. And Lindy that's on here, and Rose and Derek, all these names.
Well, and I
talking with those people because they get it.
Yeah, they get it. They identify with it. They've been there. They've done that. They want to change. My little 5-year-old grandson, Henry, he's the sweetest kid. Like the joys in my life are, innumerable. And he will say, he calls me Haya for some reason. Haya, if that happens, that doesn't fill up my bucket. He talks about this filling his bucket with good things. And, I think too, like, what a great analogy, like fill your bucket with the good stuff, right? We were empty buckets. We had a hole in our soul that we were trying to fill with booze or drugs or what have you. And now we have this, I picture a plastic bucket at the beach, and let's fill it up with good stuff, right? And then when things go wrong, we can still go back to that full bucket, and it might empty out a bit, but we can fill it back up with good stuff, right? And enjoy it. Like the interest I have in things now, and the reading I do, and I go out walking because it helps helps everything. Certainly helps my physical pain. And there's so much good to be had. Have you read The Keys to the Kingdom in the book? No, well, I don't know that you can just Google Keys to the Kingdom. And I mean, it's true that we have a key. Then some groups are called Keystone groups, right? Like this program or any program you get into has the keys to your problem, the solution to your problem. And you don't have to suffer. You just don't, right? Fill that.
We got to wrap up, but I want to thank Annette for giving me a visual. She put, 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow and pissing on today. So now I have this visual, and it's not an enjoyable visual of someone standing 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, urinating on today. And so I wanted to thank Annette for sticking me with that visual.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that'll be stuck in my head all day. Appreciate that, Annette.
Yeah. But don't piss on today. Today's a beautiful thing, right? Truly.
Kathy, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Hang on here, but God, I got just great notes, but I really like my trauma walks beside me is probably I got the most asterisks by it. And if anyone is interested in that trauma class, I'm
going to join.
DM me on the Facebook. Yeah, and I thought just the one thing I thought trauma was saving people in 9/11 or surviving 9/11 or dealing with that or being in a war. And my trauma was like, I don't have any of that. No, it's things that
death by 1,000 cuts, right?
It's things that I let small things I let fester and become that the only way I knew how to handle them was to drink them.
Drink them away.
And that's what I'm learning to deal with. Trauma will never go away. You can't, the stuff that the losses you had will never change.
No.
But it's how you deal with them and how you carry them is what the magic of that. So if anyone needs that, let me know. And it's totally free and there's no anythings, but it's a really great course.
I think in my experience, most people in the program have had a great deal of trauma, and that's typical. But you don't have to let it ruin you or run you.
Well, that's why military such a high, because how do we cope with it? They're not given the tools to talk to people. So what do?
Yeah,
we even the doctor says, well, here, take these. It'll make it go away until you need another one. Or for me, boom, boom, boom. And oh crap! Tomorrow they're back. Those emotions, boom, 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 they're gone. Oh, they're back. And it never fixes them.
It never goes away. You cannot anesthetize yourself enough to get through that. For my brother, his experience in Vietnam was horrendous, and he became a hoarder. Right? Like there's always something that's gonna, you're going to have. It really, and they say, like, alcohol isn't the problem, it's the solution, and it can be any solution, right? And
it's a lousy solution. It was my solution, but that was it.
No, it is not your friend. It is not glamorous. It's not fun. It's not any of the things that we grew up with. That Dean Martin with his martini or whatever. Like, it was just so pervasive, right? So of course we're gonna
Randall, we got to go, but Randall just put his dad landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day. And we talked about this in the trauma in the class, that as far as memories of stuff not going away, some of these men that were in their, latter part of life, when they couldn't remember where their car keys were, they can't remember what they had for lunch, but you bring up D-Day and they'll tell you real time, second for second, every detail, the smells, the sounds. That's in there.
That is so deep.
It's not going away. And that's until and that will never go away for them. But I guarantee them talking about their D-Day issues does zilch. Them talking to someone else that went through that
was there. Yeah.
That's when their healing starts, or their, so anyways. Hey, Kathy, hang on. Everyone, have a fantastic, safe weekend. And I got to come up with a good catchphrase. I'm looking for the closer of the show because I want to say, keep talking to each other. But it's not catchy enough. So if anyone's got a good one,
keep spilling your guts.
Keep spilling your guts, but it's got to be to someone that gets it. So maybe I got an extra one of the mugs I have, which is the sorry booze, you lose with the Back to Zero logo. I got and it hasn't been used. An extra. Beautiful. Maybe I'll have a competition for anyone that gets my good closing comment.
Okay. Oh yeah, you gotta have swag, man. You're getting, you're gonna be famous.
I don't know about that. I just want to be sober.
There's nothing better.
Thing.
We're the lucky ones.
Yeah. Hang tight, and we will. I'll be back. What is today? Saturday morning. Yes, Saturday. I'll be back Tuesday evening with a panel discussion. Yeah. And we'll hit some more stuff. We got a bunch of great guests coming up, so it's going to be fun. All right, everyone, stay and what is it? Keep spilling your guts to someone that gets it. I don't know. All right,
pick up the phone, and thank you for allowing me to be of service. It's my pleasure.
Oh God, unbelievable! I can't thank you enough. All right.